I live in a middle-class suburban town in an East Coast state that is extremely anti-drug. The fleet of police, especially unmarked undercover cops, as we call them, is absolutely absurd for a relatively crime-free town. Except for pot-smoking kids, that is. There are unmarked police cars of every kind, from brand new Chevy sedans and hatchbacks to brand new Cadillac pickups and SUVs, Dodge Chargers, GMC and Ford SUVs, classic Ford Grand Victorias, Jeep Wranglers, fake taxicabs, and everything you could possibly think of. Because there are so many unmarked police cars in my area, they often get decommissioned and are sold as used cars that still very much look like police cars. A friend of mine even owns a decommissioned Ford Grand Victoria. Last week I was on my way home from a date in an area that I was slightly unfamiliar with around midnight. I was driving along, following the speed limit, and I saw a blatant undercover police car tailgating me in the otherwise deserted road. He follows me for about 5 miles before finally turning on his lights. I was nervous. I had never been pulled over and I was driving past 11 o'clock, not necessarily allowed for minors in my area. Not to mention, I had a small amount of illegal herbs hidden under my spare tire in my trunk. So, knowing my town's extremely harsh police force, I was nervous. Regardless, I pull off the road into an abandoned gas station and I have my papers ready. The policeman approaches my window and he is wearing a police uniform, and I take notice that he's surprisingly good looking, in his early 20s with longer than most cops' blonde hair. He leans his head uncomfortably far into my small car and asks me where I'm headed and if I know why I was pulled over. I answer and I say no to the question. He smirks and says, "I do," before returning to his car with my license, registration, and proof of insurance. The nearby street light illuminates his unmarked car and I study it in the mirror. He had a civilian license plate, no police badge on it. I also noticed as he walked away that his pants were much too short for him. The bell bottoms awkwardly exposed 6 inches of his ankles. I had a very bad feeling about the whole thing, but I remained in my car. He comes back to my car and asks me to pull around, behind the building of the closed gas station. I say sure, and I turn on my car, but inside of me the alarm bells are ringing. There was no reason for me to go behind the building, other than to hide our cars from the road. So I roll up my window and I dial 911 as he walks back to his car. I told the operator I was just pulled over by a suspicious police car, and I read her the license plate number. She tells me that it cannot possibly be a police car and I should get out of there as soon as possible and drive to a public place. So I pull behind the building as instructed, with him following, and I pull my car around the other side of the building. And then I make a break for the road. He turns on his lights and follows. So I'm still on the phone with 911 and my operator isn't giving me any helpful information. I'm trying to win a car chase in my 1994 0 to 60 in 20 minutes Nissan, crying hysterically. I'm flying down a road that I don't know at 75 miles an hour, faster than I'd ever driven before, and my car begins shaking violently. The policeman keeps a steady trail behind me, lights but not sirens on. My poor car screams and screeches through a red light, and after the turn I realize I'm on the road that runs through my town. I now know exactly where I am. This road is much more populated and I have my fingers on the horn. It's a button. And I'm weaving through the angry drivers at 60 on a 40-mile-per-hour road. My only hope is to attract the attention of a real police officer, because I know that they hide on this road to catch speeders. I finally approach an out-of-business diner that sits in front of my neighborhood. I whip into the parking lot because I've never passed that diner without there being a hiding police car. I stop my car and look around desperately. I don't see anyone. I've never felt such a feeling of hopelessness in my life. I thought I was going to die. When I drove into that parking lot, I expected to run into the arms of my hero, but instead I was alone in an abandoned parking lot. The only sounds were the violent protests coming from my engine, and I was sure it wouldn't start again if I tried. I froze. I'm not sure how long I sat there with white knuckles, strangling my steering wheel. I only turned around when I heard a car door slam, and I was sure this was the end. I look at the mirror, expecting the horrible short pants wearing fake policeman, but instead I see 3 marked real police cars with 5 or 6 policemen exiting, hands on guns, looking concerned. They brought me to the station and took my statement and calmed me down. Apparently the fake police car gave up on the chase when I turned into the parking lot, probably fearing there was a hiding police car there. They praised me for my critical thinking and calling 911, and told me there had been a string of violent rapes, one ending in a girl's death in the neighboring state, all pulled over by a car matching my description. As far as I know, they haven't caught him.